So go ahead on what improvements you saw week 2.
Dude, Bijan Robinson looked like a guy that is going to be a superstar in this scheme, finally. And it's really the zone scheme. They got a zone offensive line, zone scheme, weak zone. The double teams from the left tackle, left guard, and center. This was the theme last night. Motion the receiver over on the backside. And look at how all this offensive line is working in as one, constantly stretching this defensive line on horse. This is all in the first half. It's all the same look. It's the tight end backside and the double teams front side, and you just got to watch how both these backs, Bijan and Algier, just press the hole. And I think that Zach Robinson, who's their offensive coordinator, putting Kirk underneath the center, even with these defensive ends maybe pirating a little bit, the vision and ability for these backs to constantly push outside and stress. The theme of the night was outside zone for this. I mean, this cut is lovely by these backs, and that hole is gashing. I think Bijan, what did we say? He wanted 150 yards of total scrimmage.
You said they would, if they were going to win, he needed at least 150 yards.
Yeah, they got $125 on the ground and another 20 through the air or something like that. Yeah. If Atlanta runs the football like that in their zone scheme, that offense is going to be very difficult to contend with.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree with Orlovsky. And I think there's some people that watch that game, and it's valid to a degree, where they say, okay, well, the Eagles maybe don't have that great of a defense, not that great of a run defense as well, defensive line, all that. And I think that's valid to a degree. Again, it's hard to really fully gauge whether you're an Eagles fan or an Atlanta Falcons fan, really doesn't matter. But when you see like some of the tape that Dan Orlovsky highlighted, you can see that it's just so well coached and so well executed that if they had the best defense, the Eagles, right, if they had the best defense, like, what would they still be doing in that situation? Would they just be physically stronger and just to be able to like collapse it more? I mean, I guess technically, would they be able to read it better and just have better schemes? Like, yeah, technically, but it just seems to me that when you have such flawless execution like that, if it's kind of one of those things where if you're just like not 100% sure, well, then when you look at some of that film, you're going to lean on like saying, you know what, this was probably more about the Falcons being more dominant at the line and having a more dominant run game, and also a balanced approach in general. So now you have to be honest. You got to keep Kirk Cousins honest, as the Eagles found out even in the final drive of what Kirk Cousins can even just do with his arm. It just pays dividends. And so yeah, it's awesome to see Bijan Robinson do this. He was a top pick in the NFL in 22 for a reason, right? And I think this is also just another beautiful example. There's a couple beautiful examples here that we're seeing around the NFL, but definitely here as well, of how important it is that when you're a great player, that you need other great players to truly succeed. You can't do it yourself. If you're a running back, no matter how amazing you are, you need an O-line. And no matter how amazing your O-line is and how amazing of a running back you are, you need a quarterback to be able to throw the ball as well, right? You need to have a balanced play calling approach, right? You need a balanced game plan. It's just never just one thing. No one can overcome it. Even whether it's a quarterback, whether it's a running back, a wide receiver, there's so many factors at play. And as fans, everyone's so quick to just blame like an individual, right? And it's just never the case. And I get why we do that, and even why the media does that, because we need single names. If Bijan Robinson doesn't have a big game, we want to be able to just say it's Bijan Robinson, and not just say, well, what about the offensive line, and what about the coaching and the play calling, and what about the schemes, and what about the blah 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 blah, right? It just becomes a little bit too messy, and people like simple. They just want to say this guy is not good enough, and that's it, because people could technically understand that. It's a lot easier to just understand this guy's not good, this guy's great. He finds a way. I love when they always say that. You just gotta find a way, and it's like, oh, okay, just find a way, right? Like, it's just like that fundamentally does not make sense. You just gotta find a way to overcome it. Okay, sure. How many times have you just found a way to overcome it completely alone, with no help, no support, no other insight from outside sources? It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't. So I think what we're seeing also around the league is the importance of a run game. We know that right now we're in the era where this is like all quarterbacks and wide receiver driven leagues right now, right? You need, you want a quarterback, you want a weapon, and of course you want a coach to be able to tie it all together, and that can take you incredibly far. This is such an offensive, pass driven NFL right now. The rules, how they've changed within the NFL for defensively, what you can do, it favors that, and it's why running backs to a degree have been marginalized. But then we also see that the really, really, really smart coaches understand the importance of having balanced offenses and the importance of having a run game and how much having a true run game and a physical run game matters. It's why Christian McCaffrey thrives. It's why Bijan Robinson right now is thriving. It's why, we see it all around the league. Alvin Kamara with the Saints, right? Like it is such a massive luxury. Even the Eagles with Saquon Barkley. If Saquon Barkley is not there, the Eagles are not a good team this year. I'm just going to straight up say it. If Saquon Barkley is not the running back right now for the Eagles, they are not as good as they are right now. I know Falcons are riding high, that they beat them and all that, although you have to admit it was a close game. They're not the same team. So when you have a great dynamic physical back, it's so important. It's so important. You need to complement it with a quarterback who can do some damage, as well as an offensive line that can actually open up some holes for you. But it's obviously so incredibly important, and it's a massive luxury. And the biggest thing is that it helps you down the road. This type of game, this type of physical, being able to hand the ball off 14 times and have 97 yards like that, and on top of 25 reception yards, like those are the types of games, that physicality, what we saw with Dan Orlovsky highlighted, when you're in the playoffs, that's the stuff that you want to see, right? When you're just manning the other team, when you're just running the ball, because the Atlanta Falcons could be playing in Philly, NFC Championship game. It could be really cold. It could be windy. It could be whatever. They could be playing Green Bay, right? They could be on the road. We obviously don't know where, but they could be in Lambeau. Like there's all these situations where the weather, it's going to be cold. The football is going to be a literal rock. It's just going to be heavy. It's going to be brutal. Kirk Cousins' bones are going to be aching. Quite frankly, even the 25-year-old's bones are going to be aching. Like it just gets tough, and you can see it. We've seen that now over the years in a lot of key playoff games, whether it's with the Buffalo Bills, the Chiefs, the Bengals, whatever it may be. So being able to establish this and have your identity and really be able to lean on it and then have it balanced and be complementary with what Kirk Cousins can do, because Kirk Cousins, say what you will about him, the guy knows how to run an offense. He knows how to stay composed. He does not panic. Of course, he makes mistakes like every other quarterback under the sun, but he knows what he is doing. You just watch other games, watch other quarterbacks that are less than. You can see that there are way too many moments where it feels like they don't know what they're doing, where they just truly look lost. You can see it. You don't have to be a football expert. You can just literally see the confusion on their face. That's not Kirk Cousins. That's probably one of Kirk Cousins' greatest strengths. He knows how to run an offense. He knows how to play quarterback. Is he as elite of a thrower as of a Joe Burrow and is he as mobile as a Kyler Murray? Obviously not, but he knows how to run an offense. And when you have a weapon like Bijan Robinson, when you have the O-line doing what they can do, that's all you need. This is what the Falcons have been craving for years now. Just a quarterback that can just tie this all together, as well as a coordinator who can just put it all together and execute. They just need to be able to execute, and they've done so well perfectly. A lot of people were scared after that Steelers game, myself included, honestly. I said that I believed that the Falcons, I've been saying that for months, that I think that they can be a true top contender in the NFL. And then when I saw that game against the Steelers, I was like, I don't know about this. I know the Steelers have really good defenses, but I don't know. This makes me like, I was taking my notes in that week 1 game, and I had all these notes about Kirk Cousins looking really good and all this. And I'm like, okay, he looks comfortable. He looks like he's recovered, all this. And then things kind of just got a little bit more muddled and ugly. So it's going to be interesting to see how this game ages against the Eagles, because it was a tough game. I don't think that the Falcons proved that they were necessarily better than the Eagles, and I don't think that the Eagles necessarily proved that they were better than the Falcons. That's why it came down to the very end, right? I'm sure both teams can feel that they should have executed, better. I'm sure both teams can point out ways how they should have, fans always love to say, well, if the Falcons did this, it would have been a blowout. And the same thing with the Eagles. Well, if the Eagles did this, it would have been a blowout. And it's just like, yeah, I guess technically true. But my takeaway from this right now is that this was two really good teams that are going to continue to get better. They had a hard-fought game, and if they played each other again, it would be another question mark, right? It really would be. It would be like, I don't know who's going to win this game, right? Like, I don't know. AJ Brown wasn't there. There's question marks, but we know that without a doubt, Kirk Cousins showed in that game why you went out and got him, why you paid for him, and what Bijan Robinson can do. And honestly, the Eagles have a pretty potent offense, and I think the Falcons defense held their own as well. So all in all, it seems pretty exciting. I think they play the Chiefs, if memory serves me correctly. That's going to be an interesting game, because obviously they are indeed the Chiefs, and I'm really curious to see. I think they play the Chiefs, and I don't want to keep talking about it in case they don't play the Chiefs, because you're like, why are you talking about them playing the Chiefs? They don't play the Chiefs. But I think the next few games, no matter who they're playing, because now we've played 2 games. Once we now get into week 4, 5, 6, to me now teams start to kind of really show who they are. Any of the rust that they had in the beginning weeks should really be gone right now. It should be clear what the offenses are looking to do, what the defenses are looking to do. Things should just get more, there should be more clarity around how good, bad, or awful these teams are. So the Falcons are definitely a team that I'm going to be closely watching to see how Kirk Cousins continues to develop. Does he start to get more comfortable? Because he's definitely shaking off rust still, right? And if this is technically the worst Kirk Cousins is going to be right now, that's awesome. That's really awesome, because the moment he can kind of get some momentum, more momentum going, cooking, and get that pass game being more threatening. Just imagine once they get that pass game more threatening, how vicious is the run game going to be, right? I mean, it has the potential to be overwhelming. I don't know if it could look exactly like what the Saints are doing. Sorry, Falcons fans, I have no idea, but like that's right. Like when they got that run game going, theirs is kind of reversed to a degree, although complementary, where it's like Kamara is just tearing it up running, and because of that, they got to respect that, which then leaves the door for Derek Carr to be like, all right, I'm just going to pick you apart then too with my arm. And then it's just kind of like, well, what do we do, right? If we favor the pass, they torch us with the run. If we favor the run, they torch us with the pass. If we have to kind of, guess a little bit, they torch us with both. Like it becomes like so uncomfortable and unsettling for teams. And I think the Falcons could get there, but I think Kirk Cousins just needs to kind of play into that a little bit more. So it'll be interesting to see. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think the Falcons are going to prove to be a top team in the NFL and a true contender? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.